The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers now. I just touched down in Dallas. I'm at the Dallas International Airport right now. And this video right here is a video that I wanted to do earlier in the week, but I just been so busy with the Canelo stuff and traveling and amongst other things that I didn't get a chance to get to it. But I finally watched Areola versus Andy Ruiz Jr. And I gotta say, man, what a fight. What an absolute fight. You know, a lot of people complain about this fight being on pay-per-view, and rightfully so, because on paper it didn't look like a great matchup, but it delivered and exceeded expectations. I mean, let's start out with Areola, because I really think Areola deserves a lot of credit and just a lot of credit and respect for the performance he put on, because I'll keep it real. This was the best Areola I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen Areola fight so well. It looks like he took this training camp very serious. He didn't even cut half of a corner. He looked in great shape. Big credit has to go out to Joe Goossen, who's been a long time great trainer. This might be one of Goossen's best jobs as a trainer, to take a guy in Areola who's at the age of 40 against one of the top heavyweights in the world, and Andy Ruiz Jr. And not only did he beat, he give a good account of himself against Andy Ruiz, but he dropped Andy Ruiz. He showed himself to be dangerous for the entire 12 rounds. We saw some good counter punching from Areola. We saw him working behind the jab. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. You know, 40 years old is old for a heavyweight, but it's not exactly ancient. We've seen heavyweights fight way past 40, 43, 44, 45-year-old heavyweights. So I feel like there's still some good fights out there for Areola. You know, maybe they could do the Andy Ruiz rematch, maybe a Dominic Brazil, or some other PBC welterweight. You know, there's definitely some options out there for Areola. As far as Andy Ruiz goes, you know, I'll be honest with Andy Ruiz. I don't want to be too harsh on the performance, because he has had a long time out the ring. So I definitely think, based on what I saw, there was some ring rust, because he got off to a slow start. One thing I did like that he did was he wasn't exploding. Like, he wasn't just closing the gap and exploding. You know, he seemed to be more methodical in his approach and picking his punches. And he got better as the fight went along. You know, as the fight went along, you know, he started landing some good hard counter punches. Because the thing early on was this. You know, Andy Ruiz Jr., when he had success against Joshua, and when he has success in general, normally has it when he's looking to counter punch and when the fighters are coming to him. And in this fight, he didn't really have that early on, as funny as it is to say with Areola. Areola was very methodical with the way he approached him, using the jab, countering him. He didn't have too many counter punch opportunities, so he remained patient. And as the fight went along, he actually wound up hurting Areola, and he even used a bit of a Canelo Alvarez tactic from the Callum Smith fight, where he would punch him right in his arm, and he would hurt his arm. And there was actually, I think it was the 10th or the 11th round, where Andy Ruiz punched this man straight in his arm, and you could see he was visibly hurt, and he could have followed up and hurt him some more, but he didn't. You know, he actually showed Areola a little remorse and allowed him to go the distance. So it was a good performance from Andy Ruiz. You know, there was obviously a lot to be desired for Andy Ruiz, but that's okay. You know, he's I think he'll get better. I think once he gets match fit and gets some more rounds in the bank, we're gonna see the best Andy Ruiz. But I saw enough to still see that he's one of the top heavyweights in the world. And I think and his next fight, they were talking about potentially him and King Kong Ortiz. You know, if that's the route they want to go, I love that fight, because it would really test Andy Ruiz's patience, his poise, and his ability to stick to a game plan. Because it's one thing to stick to it with Areola. You know, Areola fought the best fight he could have possibly fought, and he deserves all the credit in the world. But you know, Areola isn't a great technical boxer. This was the best technical fight you're ever going to see him fight. It's not going to get no better than this. On the other hand, with Luis Ortiz, he is a stylistic problem for almost any heavyweight, even at his age. You know, we're talking about a southpaw, can move, got respectable punching power, counter puncher. You know, that's not a guy that everybody in the heavyweight division is just jumping to fight. So I would like that fight for Andy Ruiz because I think it's the perfect time for that fight to happen. And they're both PBC. They're both looking for opponents. So why not? You know, if he can beat Luis Ortiz and look good doing it, then maybe after that they can make a blockbuster Deontay Wilder fight. But all in all, as far as this fight goes, Areola and Andy Ruiz Jr. surprisingly was worth the money. It was worth whatever they charged for it. You know, it was a fantastic fight. And just again, respect to Chris Areola. It always makes you wonder, like, if Chris Areola would have dedicated himself early in his career, how far would he have gone? Because Chris Areola always had half of what it took to be a great fighter. He had the durability, he had the chin, he had the ability to just, you know, take an ass whooping, and sometimes that's an underrated quality. But he didn't have that discipline in the ring, and that cost him early in his career. But I think, you know, as crazy as it sounds, because it was a defeat, this was one of these signature performances of his career. So shout out to him, man, and shout out to Andy Ruiz, and looking forward to see what happens in the future. I'll have my Chisora Parker post-fight review later on when I have a chance to watch it. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, but like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just Kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.